Welcome back to the Black and Raw podcast. I'm your host, Tino. And I'm going to repeat that. Here's a podcast that's creating the dialogue and the space for black men to be their most authentic selves. It is Father's Day on the 21st of June, and I thought, why not, for a special Father's Day episode, have my dad on. You were my first episode. Mum was 100th episode. This is episode like 106, but
Wow.
I just thought, let's do a special Father's Day.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Yeah. And also excited to have been on your first episode.
Yeah.
So that was really brilliant. And to think that, Mum did the 100th one.
Yeah, that was good.
So that's, commitment that you're showing to what you're believing in. And yeah, I've also heard some of the amazing guests that you've had on your program here. So absolute well done.
So no, thank
Keep
you.
it up. Keep it up.
First
really
one,
great.
The first one wasn't a video one, so Mum had a video one.
Yeah, she was lucky. I think you're favoring your mum there.
No, I just wasn't recording the video at the time.
So I was the guinea pig, the first
you were
guinea
the
pig.
guinea pig. Yeah, you were the guinea pig.
Anyway, you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I can always link. I'll link to that first episode so you guys can hear.
Yeah.
But in terms of the Father's Day episode, I guess just can you describe yourself just in a few words in terms of like obviously we know who you are, but like what you do and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, but I mean, obviously, because it's Father's Day, father of three amazing children. Obviously, yourself being the oldest, Tino, and then there's Tanaka, another young man, and daughter Tasha, who's the youngest. And yeah, so that's really something that for me, I've always wanted to be a father and provide a stable environment for my children to flourish. So that's an important thing for me. And then also, my faith is absolutely important. Father's Day, our Heavenly Father watches over us. So as a child of God, I anchor, what I do through the Word of God. So, being a Christian is also quite fundamental for me. And then outside all of that, I'm an entrepreneur, mentor, and leader. Run several different businesses, supporting vulnerable young children, various children's services and residentials. Also involved in property. Got a property portfolio with me and my wife, and I also do some mentoring in supporting people that want to start up businesses. So that's, I suppose, that's me in a nutshell, I would say.
That's okay.
You can always, ask me more questions specifically.
I guess in terms of what I'll do is I'll leave for people to listen to that first episode in terms of, I think, a bit more about your upbringing and things like that as well. But I guess in terms of when you first heard you were going to become a dad, what was going through your head? Like, what were you thinking?
Well, I mean, I was a young dad. I think, how old was I? 24 or so. So, I hadn't really, planned of being a dad at that time. But then, it was still just an amazing gift. I think a lot of anxiety really about you actually got somebody that you're bringing into this world that you are responsible for.
Yeah.
And bringing the best out of them. So, yeah, a lot of anxiety, hey, am I going to do this dad thing well? How is it going to go? I was quite fortunate. I mean, I did have a good example from my father, but still there's that worry that, can I be a good dad? So, a bit of nervousness there, absolutely.
I guess in terms of, that first time you said you were going to become a dad, you're very anxious.
Yeah.
Did that get easier as you had a few more? Or did that just add on to now I've got a second one that I have to look after. Now I've got a third one I have to look after. Like,
I mean, absolutely. Experience with anything. The more you do things, you'll then have. What lessons have you learned from how you raised that particular? I mean, yourself. As a firstborn. But then again, I mean, as a father, and as a parent. Children are so different, so you can't necessarily use the same strategy and what you did with the first child that will work the second or the third child. But I think the sense of easier is more like you're not as worried so much and panicking.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to rush you to A&E back in Zimbabwe, emergency, accident emergencies, because you kept crying and we thought, oh gosh, we don't know what to do with you.
Yeah.
We'll take you to the hospital. We thought there was something wrong with you. So yeah, so things like that, you don't panic as much. Absolutely, you've almost gone through it, and you think, no, they'll be fine. This is what we need to do with a
Yeah.
child growing up. So yeah, that definitely does help.
Yeah, I can imagine. And what did they say? Like usually, like the first one, you're really sort of like everything is a panic, and then the second one is like, oh, they're okay, they'll be fine, and then third one's like,
Yeah,
nothing's wrong with that one. Should be
let them, they'll be fine. Yeah, they just go and do whatever you need to do. Yeah, you get that does happen, but it's I think that the beauty of it really is that you can still have certain principles that you take away from your first and second children, where it's about trying to acknowledge their fears, whatever it is that they're worried about, knowing that you parenting style of disciplining, you start learning more and seeing, okay, which is appropriate way to discipline. So all of that, you do grow, and life is a journey. You're continually
Yeah.
learning. So if you don't, as a parent, learn from what you did from the first and second child, then you're not being a good parent, really.
Yeah, I remember I was on a call with my friend Tendai. We were talking to parents, and a question was, "Oh, what do you do if a parent doesn't want to adapt?" And I think I was just then you just
Yeah.
if you don't adapt, you'll die. Like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
you can't hold on to something
Yeah,
because you think it's
yeah.
the right thing.
Yeah.
I guess how did that adaptation come to you when you came from Zim to England, in terms of like, okay, maybe I need to raise the kids differently as I was raised?
Yeah, well, I mean, with yourself, we just did what we what we saw in Zimbabwe, right? That adapting, because it was it was a combination of even just ourselves as young parents and young adults migrating from our country of birth to come here to the UK. So we were adapting in ourselves, within ourselves, and then at the same point, you're having to adapt as a parent. So yeah, that was challenging. And really, I would say, yeah, it's maybe so more with Tanaka, our second oldest, with your brother, where we becoming a lot more mature. Things were a bit more settled in terms of, from a financial point of view, also in our professions that we'd managed to get into. So that stress wasn't there as much. Because unfortunately, when you are going through a challenging transition of settling in the UK, both me and your mum were really frustrated in our professions, and what we thought was a excellent idea of coming to the UK. It took a lot longer to actually see the benefits of it. And so sadly, you bore quite a bit of the brunt of maybe acting out and frustration and everything. So yeah, the adapting probably came in the next season or chapter of our lives when we were more settled. We actually had time to spend with you guys and enjoy some of the other, finer things in life. And I think that helped. When you're less stressed, you can then focus on other things, on professional development. So yeah, I would say that's how we adapted.
That's how you adapted, okay. And I guess what was maybe one of the hardest things about being a father that maybe you're not prepped for?
Yeah, I mean, hardest things really, well, quite a few really. I think when your children are sick, that's absolutely a difficult and hard thing. With your sister, when she was quite young, she constantly at the Birmingham Children's Hospital, and after having to have an operation so young, at a very young age. So, when children are sick and you almost, of course, they're in the hands of the doctors and everything, and you still, you pray and you just ask God to intervene, but you're almost helpless as a parent, if your child is sick, and and then there was also a time, I mean, with yourself, really, when I remember when you phoned us, you were at some party.
So I was never allowed to go
You're
to
literally
parties
to some
again.
party that we allowed you to go to, and you phone panicking, Dad, help! And you weren't able to say much. Fortunately, we knew where you had gone, so we were able to get there, but we weren't able to talk to find out what's going on. What
Yeah.
exactly. So we
The,
were
the,
driving mad trying to to see, oh no, we need to rescue you. So that element of protection, when your children's lives are in danger, whatever it may be. And even with Tanaka, I mean, there was a time he was quite unwell where he had sepsis, which could have really become quite bad. And he had his health conditions with his heart. So illnesses, that you can never prepare for that.
yeah.
You can never prepare for that. But thank God you're all well and fine,
Yeah,
and you've come out
definitely.
of it. Yeah.
The thing is with that party, it was just because the police had came and raided it.
Yep.
So that was just like, I think that was maybe the first party I'd been to that was like that.
Yeah, and
So
you didn't go to the parties after that for a
no,
while,
I
did you?
didn't.
Because
So
yeah,
I
we
mean,
were quite strict initially with you
yeah.
about going to parties.
I
Yeah.
mean, I probably could have dealt with that better. But I was just like, oh my gosh, the police are here. Like, what am I supposed to do? Everyone was drunk. People were
Yeah,
stumbling into
yeah.
the things and running off. So it was fun up until that point. To be
Yeah.
fair,
Yeah, yeah. And I think also another thing which I mean you mentioned about what you're not prepared for. So now, you guys as adult children. So there are certain things that either I'll be thinking and me and your mom will be thinking that this is what you guys should be doing. But sadly, because you're now adults, we can't force you to do and take
yeah,
certain decisions. And it's almost allowing you to make a mistake that you will then eventually see, oh gosh, if I'd listened to my parents.
yeah, probably would have been
Yeah,
right.
because in
Yeah,
hindsight, there are a lot of things that I look back and think, oh damn, my dad actually warned me about this, or my
yeah.
mom warned me about this, and I didn't take the advice. So yeah, that's another season of parenting adult children, which you don't get taught about either.
I guess one thing on that is that like even you guys like after my undergraduate of uni, I would say you were hassling me. Literally, guys, I'd only just finished like my undergraduate, writing a
Yeah.
degree in COVID, and they were like, "So what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What's the next
What's
step?"
the plan?
And I was like, "What do you mean? What's the plan? Like I've only like this with COVID, the world's on pause.
There has
Like
to be a plan. You
I've
need to
just
know what you're
literally
doing in
just
your
finished
life.
my dissertation. Um, but then you guys are like, maybe have a look at social work, and that's like one of the things where if you know African parents, it's like, oh, maybe you should go into social work. You should try
Yeah,
this
safe
safe
professions. Yeah, that's African
professions.
parents for you. Yeah.
But and I think when I was younger, I looked at social work and I was like, oh, they don't make enough money. So I'd sort of written it off, but I always cared about people and I was always a
Yeah.
people person anyway. So now I am a social worker, but I think now when I'm like hearing my friends saying that they're struggling to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
jobs
That's
and
it,
things
isn't
like
it?
that,
Yeah.
it's like, oh wow, like I have a stable job. Like sure, it's hard every day, but
Yeah.
I still have something where I'm not worried about my job insecurity or
Yeah.
anything like
Yeah, that's
that.
true.
So I think that, and there's plenty of skills that you can learn from whatever part of life you're in, isn't it? So
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. Yeah, I mean, and it's that worrying, isn't it, of will you be able to look after yourself initially and stand on your own 2 feet, and then subsequently when you have your own family, it's about being able to provide for them. So, I mean, for us also, I mean, we me and your mom, we did appreciate that the nature the that you have in your characteristics. Social work seemed a good fit. And even if it's, at least for now, that's where you are, and you can always, pivot into something else that you really enjoy, etc. And also, but yeah, just that initial first cushion and stability
yeah,
was why we were suggesting that to you.
no,
Yeah,
definitely.
and which you listened, so which is good.
Yeah, which I listened. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think, to be honest with you, I advise quite a lot of my young people that I work with. I was like, I know you may, like, when your parents are telling you something, and you get annoyed because like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And I'm like, to be honest with you, I've came to a point now where there's a lot of things that my parents have said, and I've been like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like they were right. So
Yeah.
now they know that
There you
is.
go. There you go.
So I guess what is like, how has being a dad changed the way you see yourself as a man, would you say?
I don't know about change as such. Probably it's understanding more the responsibility that I have as a father, and also, coming from a patriarchal society in Zimbabwe of a man providing, a man leading, and even from a biblical sense, I think that the need to develop yourself as a good leader within the family is
Yeah.
crucial and is important. So it almost puts an extra layer of responsibility where you now have to be a father to three children. So, within that, you mature, you grow up very fast,
Yeah.
and then you then realize that, this is real life stuff, and you have to be equipped and you have to be ready. So it's putting yourself out there and knowing that this is a responsibility you take as a father. And I would also say, added to that, you've now got an element of leaving a legacy
Yeah.
behind, because I think the most beautiful thing that you can do really is the legacy has to be through your children, and what they're able to achieve and contribute to life. Of course, you will impact other people within the community and, through your other spheres of influence that you have. But first and foremost, it has to be reflected through your children.
Yeah.
And so that's a big responsibility as a man and as a father.
And I guess, in terms of like as a man and as a father, like I think you have probably different phases of your life, where you maybe have different phases in your life where maybe, because I'm just thinking about some men that, especially diaspora men that have came here and their wives are earning more than them,
Yeah.
and that sort of impacts their manlyhood. Did you ever have a phase in your life where that was maybe for you, that maybe mum was earning more and you were doing something else?
Yeah. I mean, it was actually a difficult period in our marriage, I would say, and in our journey that we've had, because at that point, I mean, my wife will be she's a solicitor, the lawyer, a lawyer from Zimbabwe, a solicitor here, admitted here in the UK. So one of the opportunities that we saw early on was actually to set up a immigration and family firm, solicitors firm in the UK. But what that meant is, because she was the lawyer and the solicitor, the buck stopped with her.
Yeah.
So, from a regulatory point of view, she had to adhere to all the compliance issues that were there. But likewise, because her name was on the door, because it's her that had to be put there, clients would want to come and see her.
Yeah.
So she was the predominant fee earner. I would say maybe I brought in 30% of the revenue for the business, whereas for her it was almost about 70. And that was our only source of income at that point. So that was difficult because, I mean, one, obviously, firstly, I don't like law. So
Yeah.
but it was an opportunity that we saw. I'm from a science background, but it was an opportunity that we saw that we can actually make a good income for the family here. But also, I used to see a lot of stress, which it brought upon my wife, working long hours and dealing with so many clients. And even with myself, I mean, having to also take orders,
Yeah.
from her, that was challenging. But fortunately, we did manage to get through that. So she still continue on with what she does with law, but combining that with community work and bringing in her faith.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I've developed my own business, which is with children's services, which is really doing amazingly well. So now that's the main breadwinner for us as a family,
Yeah.
because that business is, it is generating a good income for us as a family, where now she doesn't have to worry so much about being the main breadwinner. And for my self-esteem,
Yeah.
I think that was important for me to know that I can provide fully
For your
for my
family.
family, and whatever her income is, it's up to her how she wants to spend that. So, which is
Yeah.
great for me.
Okay. So we're back now. So you were talking about how, in terms of now that you are providing, that it's definitely better for your self-esteem.
Yeah.
But I think as a man, you said, being able to provide,
Mm-hmm.
and how that sort of, I think as men, that's you want to provide for your family,
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
you?
absolutely. Yeah.
And I think some men, and I think probably some young boys, want to sort of be that provider, but women are going to education more than men these days. Women are getting houses first before
Yeah.
men these days. Women are usually doing a lot better than men these days. So
Yeah.
I feel like the dynamic has shifted a bit. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what your thoughts are in terms of on that.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, I mean, it's one of those things also where, the boy child, or, as a young man, we don't mature as fast as the ladies and as the women. So, you do find that, you're seeing that the girls are achieving and striving and attaining things a lot quicker than the boys. So that is a challenge. And what I would probably say with that, I mean, you guys have got a wealth of resources to equip yourselves as young boys also. So they should, I feel, still be the hunger for, as a boy, to also empower and equip yourself.
Yeah.
Whether you do it at that same pace as the ladies, you might not be. But then again, I think when it now comes to finding your spouse or your partner for life,
Yeah.
it's then realizing that you're not in competition with one another. So hopefully, if you can find someone where, even if they might be a bit further ahead in their journey, you can actually partner together, and instead you're working as one to to
Yeah.
to to better your future family that you're going to have. You leverage on each other's strengths and weaknesses, and it becomes more of a partnership.
Yeah.
Obviously, there will still be that element of you as the man to be able to lead in that, and you need to be able to be confident enough to do that. But also, you do need to embrace and appreciate the talent that your spouse, the young lady that's on your side.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, take in the creativity, take in some of the advice and the ideas that they have, and work and build together.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
I think we're seeing a lot of young boys that are having more negative views of women. It is really weird to see how we've gone from women's emancipation, well, women getting the right to
Yeah.
vote and
Yeah.
things like that, and then like abortion and all of those things, to then now we're sort of going back a bit. That
Yeah.
that that I don't know how that works. They say history repeats itself, but that's not a repetition that I like.
No, not at all. Yeah, not at all. Yeah. But it would be, I mean, it's there. It's important for you to focus on yourself also as a young boy, and not get caught up in blaming the women that you're being left out or you're being marginalized, because I think that's the downfall of what's happening, where young men are now being seen as if the women, it's not a zero-sum game.
It's not us versus them.
It's not us
No.
versus them. No, it's not at all. So you do what you can. It's brilliant that the ladies are able to do that, but it's then about coming together as one, and that's why I think marriage is so important also, really, because you have that covenant to then come together as one, and you leverage on each other's skill sets. And yeah, it's not a us versus them. It is toxic already.
Yeah.
So yeah, it shouldn't be that way.
And social media just doesn't help.
No,
Doesn't
it
help,
does
does
not.
it?
And social media is you only see the fancy, flashy stuff. It's not the real world.
Yeah.
The struggles are not really shown. The journey to get there is not shown. So that glitz and glam, you don't know how that's been achieved.
Yeah.
And
No,
sometimes
definitely.
how it's achieved is not how you would be wanting to, because there's a lot of compromise
Yeah.
that some people do to
And I guess in terms of
acquire
that,
that.
that legacy building, as you were saying, like if you want to build a legacy, you don't want it to be built on sand and brick. You
No,
know, you
no,
want you
strong
want you want
foundation.
a strong
Yeah.
foundation for that. How does your faith impact your role as a father? Like how do those two work together?
I mean, it's a cornerstone. It's literally is. So, when you asked, what things did you find challenging that you weren't aware of, that that you'd encounter as a father, as a parent, it's God has already, Scripture talks about God already going before us, and He knew us even before we were formed in our mother's womb. So, and one of my favorite scriptures also is in Proverbs, where it talks about lean not to, Proverbs 3 says, lean not to your own understanding,
Yeah.
but in all your ways acknowledge God, and He will set your path straight. Because so many times we might try and think we know what's best,
Yeah.
and we try and go down that particular path or journey. Yet, if we commit, everything that we do to God, and especially things that we don't know about being parents,
Yeah.
because you're learning to be a parent, then God will direct you and help you. So, yeah. So at times it's about praying for wisdom. What's the right thing to do for my son, for my daughter? What's the right thing for the family? Um, Praying for protection. I mean, your sister's, she's at university, and I
Yeah.
wasn't too worried about you going to university or guy. You see, I thought, okay, lads, they'll do lads things, and you're not as worried because that's just how it is. But when you have a daughter that's at university and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I should be going out at times or maybe
Yeah.
partying, whatever it is. I'm not there to protect her.
No, that's true.
I have to trust God and say, what, God, she's in your hands. She'll be well. So things like that, protection. Protection when I'm talking about, the health challenges. Just believing that God will pull you guys through the different health challenges you've had. So yeah, you know, bringing things to God in prayer is absolutely fundamental for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, as you're saying, because I think in a world where there's so many dangers, people are rioting on streets because they're like
Yeah.
immigrants are
Yeah.
assaulting our children.
Yeah.
Just to say, most of the people out there are convicted of DV, and a lot of white men rape children. But we'll move on.
It happens in all.
It
It doesn't matter
happens.
what race it is.
It doesn't matter what
Sadly,
race it is.
it doesn't matter.
But there's so many scary things out there and so many dangers that, as a father, you're probably worried about is going to happen to your children. And
Yeah.
I think for daughters even more. So I think grounding yourself in God and in something that is that ultimate power behind you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think is a positive thing in terms of raising your children.
Yeah, no, much needed. Yeah.
What does a biblical father look like? Like, what's your thoughts on that? I know I'm throwing questions at you now. I didn't
What
even
does a
write
biblical
down.
father look like? Oh gosh.
Yeah.
What do you mean by biblical father?
I
Because
get.
just elaborate a
I
bit more on
guess,
that.
how do you model your, like? Does your faith, obviously your faith models your fatherhood, but I
Yeah.
guess what does that look like for you, like in terms of your practice as a father?
Yeah. I mean, so it's trying to reflect our Heavenly Father, isn't it? It's trying to reflect God. And so as parents, we've been given, we're stewards, that stewardship of God has entrusted us to raise you guys as children. So firstly, it's then trying to raise you in the faith so that you guys know God for yourself. So
Yeah.
that's important. And so that's something that, as a biblical father, so in that terminology, it's being responsible for that and taking the lead with that. And then it's really then being exemplary in your characteristics, being a person of integrity.
Yeah.
You know, the Bible talks about a good name. That is priceless. Having a good name, and it's so hard to be able to, if you do something that blemishes your name, that reputation of getting that back.
Yeah.
So that only comes through integrity and honesty. I think there's an element of, because also what God sees in us, the potential that's in us and his will and purpose for us in our lives, we don't always know that
Yeah.
or even believe. If we do, maybe we don't believe we can attain it. So bringing that out of you, bringing that king out of you, so to say, that potential out. So I think that's an assignment which God gives a father to be able to
Yeah.
do for their children. So yeah, and then impacting community. When we impact the community that we live, other young boys, other families, being exemplary, role models as couples, as fathers. So it's all of that, being able to show God's glory,
Yeah.
through us as a family. So yeah, I think that should answer a biblical
Yeah, no, it
father.
does, and I guess
Yeah.
when I'm just thinking of men in the Bible, you've got Moses, you've got Jacob, you've got Joseph, you've got
Yeah.
what's the one that brought down that had the long hair, Samson,
Yeah, Samson.
Samson,
Yeah, and saying that also, so I think so the biblical father is really brilliant, and you bring up some good examples where what we see in all of those great men of God, the Bible really illustrates it's not all the successes they've had.
yeah,
And one character that I always, I mean, there's two favorite characters that I have in the Bible for me, from the Old Testament. It's Joshua, and it's King David. And King David more so because, it talks about King David being a man after God's own heart. But what I like about David is that he's raw. He shows his emotions through the
yeah,
Psalms. He shows his weakness as a man. It shows him, not obeying God's word. I mean, he committed adultery, committed
yeah,
murder, yet he still comes back to God and repents and wants to be right with God.
yeah,
Because in the world that we live, as men, we can never be perfect,
yeah, not true,
and we will make mistakes, some of them with catastrophic consequences.
yeah,
But being able to say sorry, apologize, learn from that mistake, and move forward and still remain in God's will, for our lives is important. So, yeah, those biblical characters, Joshua really shows us about being courageous, how he was mentored by Moses and he took on that mantle to then, lead the children of Israel into the promised land,
yeah,
and just his organizational skills that he had in trusting God and, really bringing that first foundation for the children of Israel in the promised land. So, yeah, so we can learn a lot from
from the men
biblical
in the film,
fathers
yeah.
and even the relationships that they have with their sons and their daughters.
Yeah, definitely. And I
Yeah.
think as you've put it right, like none of them were perfect. But they owned their mistakes and they owned who they were
Yeah.
and went back to God um for that forgiveness and for that love
Yeah.
and I guess in terms of as a father you try and show that unconditional love to your children
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
though we're human and there'll be days that you don't like your kids. There'll be days you don't want to talk to them. I don't know about you guys, I don't know whether you had that, but I know I work with parents where they have that some of those feelings, but like it's not always going to look amazing and
Yeah. Yeah. No,
great.
it won't. Yeah, it won't because I mean it won't because it's we can never do things perfect in life, and as a parent, that frustration sometimes of wishing that you'd take this particular advice from us, or you might have done something very foolish or stupid when you're young, yet we know you didn't mean it, but we will still react sometimes, maybe in rage, unfortunately, or whatever reactions we do have. So, um, yeah, I think that's really something to reflect on, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I guess sort of as we're coming to a close,
Yeah.
for Father's Day, what is it that you love about Father's Day? What would you say?
What do I love about Father's Day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a difficult father to buy presents for. So yeah, so that I mean, the presents itself. I mean, I literally know what I'm gonna get because, I have to help you guys, don't I? And tell you explicitly what I want.
So
But
much easier that way. I just wish everyone would do
yeah,
that.
yeah, but I mean, you can't pull that off on Mother's
We
Day
can't just
because
keep buying
no,
you
no,
socks and underwear. That's the
no,
typical thing
no,
dad gets, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, that would be a typical no, but I think Father's Day really it's that acknowledgement of of the role that fathers play in society, and it should, yeah, I think it is embraced that yes, we are celebrating Father's Day.
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe not as much probably as Mother's Day, but I think rightfully it should be important. But what I like really the most about Father's Day, because and especially with you guys as adult children now, sometimes you're all doing your own thing in your bedrooms and etc.
Yeah.
and all of that, but it's it can be a day where I demand that we do things together as a family, and we have we chat, we laugh, we do games and all of that. So that sense of being together,
Yeah.
I think is very important. And and for me, when I'm in those moments, it's then because one of the vows that I made, as a father, is being able to provide a nurturing environment,
Yeah.
a stable nurturing environment for you guys to flourish, be the best versions of yourselves as children. So and I think we're there. Where that platform is there. Might not always be the best, but I feel that we've managed to create that with your mother.
Yeah.
So that reminder of seeing us laughing and enjoying moments as a family together on that particular Father's Day, it just reinforces that this is what I've been striving to do with you guys. So I
Yeah.
think that's the importance for me that it brings Father's Day.
No, and you guys have done a good job. Couldn't have wished for a better father
Thank you, thank
or
you,
mother.
thank you. Yeah, it's obviously with mistakes made here and there, along the way, but it's just always striving to create that, and then I suppose the challenge we have next is the add-ons that we're going to have to the family.
Yeah, true, true, true.
Your wives and the husbands that will come on board and be part of the family also, and still create that environment that's really positive and honest and empowering.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be back in just a second, guys. So we're back. So yeah, as we're coming to a close, I guess I guess that what message would you maybe have for fathers today on this Father's Day?
Yeah, I mean, message I would have for fathers is to it's a privilege and it's an honor, being a father, and it does carry weighted responsibility, because the impact that we have as fathers, we can never underestimate what it does to our children and their children's children. So as fathers, we really have to be exemplary in what we model, and part of that modeling is also knowing that when you do mess up at times,
Yeah.
be able to be vulnerable enough to express that, and that vulnerability, that will enable your children to have, I'd say, good coping mechanisms of what to do when things go
Yeah.
wrong. So don't be afraid to do that. But then again, I think quite importantly is, as a father, you are there to lead.
Yeah.
So you do need to take up your responsibility of leading, and it's about servant leadership.
Yeah.
It's not about dictatorship. It's not about look at me, I'm the dad, you do whatever I tell you to do.
Yeah.
But servant leadership that we have to embrace as fathers.
Definitely, and I think that servant leadership is something which I think probably as a Zimbabwean fathers, African fathers, maybe your fathers didn't. It was more dictatorship.
No. We have to give our fathers credit because they can only do with what
What
tools
they were,
and equipments
what
they
they were
had
shown
at that
with, yeah,
time.
definitely.
So they would have not seen any better, really. So yeah, we do have to have an element of grace for our fathers. But then again, there's obviously certain things which they did which were absolutely, should have, shouldn't have been done and were detrimental to us and has those impact and traumas that
Yeah.
we experience. But yeah, it's also realizing the times that they grew up in also.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think some of them would have grown up in, especially for ones in Zimbabwe, they had a war going on.
Oh,
They were trying to
yeah,
liberate their
absolutely.
people. Even people here in the UK, their grandfathers would have had World War One,
Yeah,
World War Two,
true.
World War One. So like they grew up in very
Very
turbulent
different
times.
circumstances. Yeah, extremely challenging. Yeah.
Whereas I wouldn't say we're relatively at peace, kind of.
There's a lot
Depends
happening
where
in the
you are.
world.
Yeah,
There's a lot happening in the world.
is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, I think you definitely, as you're saying, having to have grace. And I think as you become older, you realize that your parent is just like you, but a bit older.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they've just gone through their own things and their own struggles, and they're
that's so
learning
true.
just as much as you're learning.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing. I think as well for fathers and for parents, I would say just to them as well that you're probably not right 90% of the time, but when you're wrong,
95, come
when
on.
you're wrong, I think just admit it, because it shows to your son, or it shows to your son that
Yeah.
I can take accountability when I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Because they do not as you do, not as you say, but they do as you do.
as you do,
So if
yeah,
you're showing
what
that
you
action,
model.
what you model, if you're
Yeah.
showing actually, if I am wrong on something, let me apologize and let me say, because
Yeah.
that will go much further than you wanting to have this view that
Easier said than done.
no, definitely.
Easier said than done.
Definitely.
Yeah,
And like your son
yeah.
your child would probably be like, you're wrong.
You see, no,
Like they'll
and the thing
milk
is, you
it.
can't be wrong too often, otherwise, your credibility goes. So you.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the president of the United States makes wrong decisions all the time, and
Whoa.
he
No,
doesn't
we're not.
say
No,
anything.
sorry. We'll get cancelled. Let's not even go down that. Yeah.
I guess for maybe young black boys listening to this, some that do have fathers, some that don't have fathers, like Father's Day can probably be quite a difficult thing for some young black boys. So I guess just a message in terms of maybe on this Father's Day, maybe what you would say to them.
Yeah, and it's that's really quite a painful sort of situation to be in, isn't it? Because I think we probably will never really understand fully and grasp, an absent father and the trauma it brings, to especially a young black boy, So what I would really say to a young black boy is that hopefully within your community, there should be a male role model or figure that could possibly, not replace as such, but take up some of that, being able to mentor them and raise them to be the young men that we want them to be. So be hungry enough to go out and try and seek them, try and get into their networks and reach out. And even if you can't even reach out to them, then take in everything that you can, what you see in their social media profiles and other where they talk about their principles, their journey,
Jason
and what
Wilson's
they've
really good for that.
and what they've learned. So that would definitely be something. But I would also just try and encourage them that what I'd also say to the young boys is that don't be too hard on yourself. Because some of the things that I used to really feel I'd messed up, or that my life was doomed and I've made the biggest mistake, I'm absolutely going to not achieve anything in life, I mean, one of those was when I didn't actually achieve the A-level results that I wanted to achieve,
Yeah.
wanted to be an engineer. And in that time, it seemed such a big thing. But I didn't want to listen to my parents about maybe redoing my A-levels
Yeah.
and I took it hard upon myself. So sometimes when you experience such a traumatic, something hasn't gone well that you had planned in your life, try not to take it too hard. Try not to beat yourself down so much.
Yeah.
What you think is catastrophic, that happens in a year, in 5 years' time, you might look back and think, well, it didn't really affect me
It didn't
as
really affect
bad.
you. Yeah,
The
yeah,
consequence of
definitely.
it wasn't as bad. And so, similarly, maybe the consequence of not having your fathers in your life, as important as it is then looking at what can I now do to, to compensate on that.
Yeah.
So instead of viewing the negative of what you don't have, try and seek what's the solution to try and feel those things that you are trying to feel and finding a father figure for yourself.
Yeah.
And do be very wary and try and find the right type of male father figure that can help you.
Yeah, because there can be people out there that will steer you in the wrong
And that will
direction.
manipulate you and tell you the things that you seem to be quite enticing in your ears, yet it can lead you down a very wrong path, I would say.
Definitely. I guess just to add on to that as well, play with a bit of a thought experiment. I love the thought of the butterfly effect. If you don't know what the butterfly effect is like, imagine a butterfly wings roll. No, let me not explain it like that. Imagine you make one decision, it could change the course of your life, or if you make a different decision, you're going a different way. Yeah. Imagine if you had done another year of A-levels, you may have never met Mom. Because she would have had her first year of uni and then gone off, or
that's it.
So anything could have happened. You know what I mean? So as you're saying, don't beat yourself up too much about it, because something wonderful could happen from it, and you could still get it to a different part of your life without even thinking about it. And I guess we've talked about for fathers, we've talked about absent fathers. I guess just to say to the boys that do have their dads in their lives, just treasure the moments. Just treasure spending time with them. Even if I'm not saying that like me and my dad, we always hang out together, because I think everyone does their own different things. People work, people are going places. But just take those moments to appreciate the time you have. Even if it's us watching football together. Like I do not want to imagine a day where we're not watching Liverpool together. Obviously when I move out and have my own children, I'll be watching it with them. But there's those moments to treasure, or there's coffee in the morning, or in the afternoon, or sitting outside and having coffee, or holidays. Like there's just so many moments which I think just treasure with your fathers.
Yeah, definitely.
For Father's Day, what I'd say, put your phones away, guys, and just spend time with
put
each
your
other.
phones away. Phones, iPads, whatever it is, put them away. All that technology.
So thank you, Dad, for coming on.
It's been amazing. Great.
So much appreciated. Maybe we'll have to have you and Mum on, because Mum is.
That would be a really lovely one. That would be so interesting.
We can get a podcast studio to do that one.
We need a studio.
I think that would be pretty cool, actually.
That would be an awesome episode. All
right,
definitely. Thank you. Great.
Right.
Wait. What do you mean?